I just want to say briefly, I'm proud to be original co-sponsor on HR 2228. And, there's a lot of things in life that we have that we all fall back on, and there's many titles that we all carry. For me, being a husband, to Lisa, being a father to my 3 children, to be a chaplain in the Air Force who has served in Iraq and counseled service members over the years. But one of the ones that's affected me the most and has shaped me to be a lot of who I am today comes from the title of being son to a Georgia State Trooper. My dad served for 31 years and retired a number of years ago. But I was, during my growing up years, I've shared some stories before, I was the kid whose dad would pick him up in the patrol car and put him in the back seat because he thought it was funny. Nobody else did, but you get used to those kind of things. Law enforcement officers of all stripes are unique and precious individuals. They're not perfect. Not everyone does always right. Not everyone does it wrong. They get a lot of credit and sometimes too much blame. But at the end of the day, what is affected is how their job does affect them. My father coached me in sports. My father mentored me. He is still to this day my biggest fan, next to my wife. But the things that I did see growing up is why this bill means something to me. I could tell when Dad had went to work, would come home, and he would be quiet. I remember one time in particular, he was quiet. He wasn't sort of himself. And a couple of days later, I come to find out that he was the first on a wreck that he killed 3 children. For him, it was very real because he had 2 boys at home, and the boys that were killed in the wreck were very similar aged. The stress that is involved in being a law enforcement officer when you're there to fix the rights and the wrongs that everybody thinks you're supposed to fix and have ultimate decision-making power in a split second can weigh on you. And there for many years, it was not cool or proper for a law enforcement officer to admit that the job was stressful. Fortunately, my dad and others could talk to each other, and they told war stories over coffee. They did all the other things. This, though, I think provides a way that we can sort of formalize and make sure that these who we trust with our very safety are being helped in their own ways, that they can make right decisions. So as we go forward in this bill, many times we just vote on HR numbers and we talk about them in terms of what the policy is. But for this one, for me, and for the members of this committee, and I hope for the House and the Senate and eventually the President to sign, this one is very personal because I have seen the results of the good and the bad of the effects of working every day in law enforcement. And there will be nothing that I want to see more than for those who need help to get help, for those who are under the stress to have stress, and for those who do that job every day to simply say thanks for what you do, but also as a son of a trooper to remember the families that are affected by this. We often just think of the law enforcement member, but when that law enforcement member is operating at peak performance, his family or her family is operating at peak performance. And I think that's something we often forget. And from that perspective, that's why I was proud to be co-sponsor on this bill. Anything that is concerning can be worked out, will be worked out as this bill moves forward, and I am looking forward to supporting this as it moves.